So, fucking Christmas. I probably shouldn't have cursed straight away.
That's a good start.
Dude, so have you got all your stuff done? Like, have you got all, you're hiding all your gifts, right?
What do you mean?
We have to keep him away from Drake. So
Oh yeah, well we're hiding all the gifts, and we've decided with like Santa, 'cause he's getting kind of away. He's checking his stocking. He's like, presents.
Stockings.
No presents. So what we kind of decided is that the stuff that Santa brings is just going to be there on Christmas morning. It's not going to be wrapped.
Yes.
So like we've got him a chalkboard for the kitchen. So when he that's it as well. We got him like a train that drives around the base of the Christmas tree. So we're gonna have that going.
Oh yes.
When he comes down, and then when he goes into the kitchen, he will hopefully turn around and see the chalkboard up on the wall, and we can tell him, oh, Santa must have done that.
Because he has chalk that he uses in the garden, right?
Yeah.
I love that aspect because that I forgot about that because I'm so used to now just like there's just a pile of gifts that are just there because there's no secret anymore.
Yeah, well that's the other thing. Like the gifts from mom and dad are going to be wrapped and given to him to open
in the morning.
Yeah.
So there's no gifts at all before Christmas morning, even your family gifts. Like, is there going to be a small pile when he goes to sleep and then a bigger pile when he wakes up? Or is it just no gifts at all, and then everybody?
Oh, that he can see, yeah, no gifts at all.
Okay, all right, okay.
It's hilarious though, because he's seen gifts being wrapped for like other people that we've given to them when they were to see us and things, and it was another little baby's birthday the other day, and like we were wrapping the presents for her. We're like, no, these aren't for Drake.
He's gonna be pissed when he finds out he didn't get that Barbie. He's like, what? This is bullshit. That's I love. It's so funny. I had a friend in Canada who was like, we were talking about the wonder of Christmas and like surprising your kids with that, and she was like, I didn't like it at all. I was like, it's like a big conspiracy. I feel like my parents lied to me. I was like, I never thought about it from that perspective that like it would affect trust. I don't know if she really was like, I trusted my parents again, but it had never ever occurred to me to not do Santa Claus. But also like it doesn't occur. I don't. It's funny. So I'm obviously quite selective for some weird reason because I'm like Tooth Fairy, yes, of course. I'm like Santa Claus, duh, why not? Easter Bunny, I'm like I don't know, whatever. Like I'm not a huge fan of chocolate. And then I guess there are other ones like religion. I like want the core of it, but I don't think we need to be talking about like walking on water or like miracles or whatever. Just confusing the whole pot, but. I didn't realize, I never thought about, like, I was like, I don't know, I don't think I want to be that strict about, like parenting, where I'm like, no, I mean, you, listen, I don't want you to ruin it for the other kids in school, but it's all a lie. It's all a big conspiracy. I got your back, I'm going to be honest with you. Because I don't remember, I'm a pretty, like, I take things pretty fucking seriously. Like, I would definitely, like, be the sort of kid who might freak out about, like, you were lying to me this whole time. But I don't remember. I remember the process of. Do you remember finding out that Santa Claus was real?
Not at all. Not even vaguely. That's really? So weird.
Yeah, you just Do you remember a pre-time and an after-time? Like you remember when?
Yeah, to a degree.
Yeah. Okay. So I remember finding out about Santa Claus. Like it was this slow process of like, I was like, I don't know. I was like, he might be. Like, you know, something's going on here. Because I was like asking around. We were talking about it at school, and like other people were saying it. Like other kids had found out obviously that he wasn't real, and they were saying it, and I was like, I don't know about that. And I was like. I was kind of like keeping an eye out around the house and like looking for stuff and then like working the logic in my head. I'm like, I don't know, actually, there's a lot of houses to go to, like all in one go. And then I think I asked my parents and they told me, but Kian was still young enough to believe in it. So then I remember like maintaining the conspiracy and having like an air of superiority. Like, yeah, Santa Claus will be here tomorrow. Yeah, go to sleep, don't worry. It's just funny. But, I remember a lot of that stuff. Like I remember when I was a kid freaking out about being a bad kid and not getting gifts from Santa Claus. I think I told you this. Like I remember like talking to one of my friends and being like saying like, oh man, I don't know. Like I think I've been pretty bad this year. I might not get any gifts. And then I remember him like consoling me. Like he was telling me, he's like, don't worry about it, man. Like there's this, he told me like, there's this other, you know that other bad kid? Like, oh man. Well, he didn't say that other bad kid. He was like, you know that bad kid? And I was like, yeah. I was like, he's really bad. He's like, he gets loads of gifts every year. Which funnily enough, like if I knew enough about like human psychology, that was like a telltale, obviously, that it was all, because like a badly behaved child would often be spoiled. So it's like, oh, it's, of course, there you go. So it's like this kid who doesn't get properly disciplined also gets a lot of gifts. So like, maybe coming from the same source. So obviously that like totally, that like, but I was like, oh, thank God. That's a really good point. I was like, I'm not that bad. I'm like, I'm definitely not as, I might be bad, but I'm not as bad as that kid. And if he gets gifts, then I'm probably okay. But then I should have also known, because like my parents put like a pretty like a cap on what we could get, so we had like a budget. We could get like one big thing, or we could like maybe we could pool our money. But it was like, I don't know, we had like a budget of like whatever, €100 or something. And then, but I should have known. I'm like, fucking Santa Claus is magic. Like, this shit is all made in factories. Like I should be able to get whatever the fuck I want. But I loved that aspect of it. I guess because, I don't know, I'm like a weird one. Like I like traditions when they're like harmless and kind of fun, and I'm really not into them if they're like, if you don't seem to get any benefit from them. You know what I mean? Like I don't really feel like we need to go to church once a week and several times a year to be like, yes, I have respect for humans, and like I like care about my community. And so I'm just like, I just feel like I'm like, okay, you know what, we could probably just do without that ritual. But then, because to me it's not that much fun, but if you enjoy it, like whatever. I'm not saying like, oh, ban churches. But Christmas, like I used to be such a humbug. Like I used to be like, it's all materialism, and like when I was a kid I was loving it because it was all like, oh, this is fucking great, I just get free shit, there's cookies and shit, I love it, mince pies, woo. But then when I grew up, and then I'm like, now I gotta get gifts for everyone. Like, this is bullshit. I gotta spend all this money and like fucking. And for me, it's like this weird thing about Christmas that people like seem to get annoyed with Christmas. They're like, all this work that I have to put in to like make Christmas fun. I don't know. Do you find that like all of the effort that goes into Christmas is not worth it? Like, do you find it?
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day actually at home. We were saying like you do like 5 days work to get 1 day off, and then it's just back to normal.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta get your place in order, and so
if you're working like a normal job, especially one that like wants you in between those times, it's a crazy small window that you get off. Like, because when you're a kid, it's like Christmas holidays, so you have like 2 weeks or whatever. But when you think about, man, if you have to go to work on Monday, like you definitely have to go to work on Monday, and then work on Tuesday, which is Christmas Eve. A lot of people go to work on Christmas Eve. And then you have Christmas Day off, probably have Boxing Day off. But in England, a lot of people go right back to work on Boxing Day. And I'm like, to me, I'm like, it's almost not worth doing it. Like, then I can see that logic. But like, I think that, honestly, I think it should be like, Christmas should have it should be a national holiday, like, Christmas, definitely Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and the day after. If not, like 5 days with Christmas in the middle. Because for me, I'm like, the only reason Christmas is worth it is if everybody's having a good time. Like, if we're not having a good time, it's not like it prevents malaria. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it doesn't make us healthier. Like, it makes everyone, in a lot of ways, like, it makes you poorer, because you get, let's just assume that your gift giving is net neutral. Like, you give enough gifts and you receive an equal amount back. So like, that doesn't cost you anything per se. But then like all the extra shit, the energy for the lights, the effort to put lights up, the Christmas trees. Heaven forbid you buy a Christmas tree every year, because they're like, what, like €50 or like €30 for a Christmas tree?
Yeah, I'd say about 30, 35.
Yeah, to have that thing out for like 2 weeks, and then to have it like, to have to take it to the dump, like all that kind of stuff is not.
Yeah, we bailed. We said we'd never get a fake tree, and this year we got a fake tree.
Everyone has a fake tree.
Though I will say, it's the realest looking fake tree you've ever seen.
Yours is very impressive.
Pretty good.
Yeah, and I think that like I guess it's like these cultural shifts where people start thinking more about the environment and like the idea of it's weird because if you're like an environmentalist, you'd be like, oh, plastic, I don't want a plastic tree, but then you're like, but you know, like one plastic tree versus like growing a fucking tree, because it doesn't even take a year to grow a tree. So it's like the tree that we're cutting down for our Christmas and using for 2 weeks and then throwing out and doing that every year, that tree had to be grown like 6 years ago. You know what I mean? So it's like you're harvesting a tree planted in like 2013 or something. So it's like it's a lot of effort and energy and like all that land used for trees. And I'm like, I don't know, if we're gonna be growing trees, we might as well be growing big trees that like sequester the carbon and like stay there for a while. I don't know. I feel like we gotta make furniture out of wood. This is totally off topic, but like when trees fall over and die, they just release all that carbon again. So I was like, oh damn, you gotta like take the wood inside and like protect it. This is obviously, this wood like here in the table is not being released into the, I don't think it is. So all that energy grown like going into trees, but just that relating to like all the wrapping paper, all the shit that just is used up in the process of making Christmas, like that, all that energy has to be worth like the benefits that we get from Christmas. And for a long time, like one of my big problems with Christmas was Christmas dinner. Like I fucking hate turkey. No, I don't. And I don't hate turkey. Like if someone was serving turkey on any other day, I'd just be like, oh yeah, cool. But I'm like, Christmas dinner to me, I'm like, if we're gonna put in all this effort to make this special day called Christmas, like we might as well like have a meal that we all really enjoy that doesn't like require a huge amount of effort. Because to me, it seems like turkey takes like 4 or 5 hours to cook, depending on how big your turkey is, and then to me it's like a dry average meat. And this is such a dull rant to go on, but like years ago I remember we'd be eating Christmas dinner. You'd have the Brussels sprouts and the fucking turnips. I'm like, this is like, it's petitioning to be average. It's like, this meal is like attempting to be like, what can you think of are like some of the most dull things that we could eat? Like, oh, we could have like a bunch of parsnips, and we could have Brussels sprouts. Yeah, we never eat Brussels sprouts. Those things suck. And then
I love Brussels sprouts.
It's fine if you love them, but like, let's be honest, like, it's not like, you don't go into the fucking chipper, and they're like, oh, Brussels sprouts, like when you're drunk, like that's everybody loves a big bowl of Brussels sprouts. Like it's not like melted cheese or chips or like breaded brie, or you might not be into that, but like they're definitely like highlight foods. Like me and we're always joking about how like I think that the only thing that is really worth eating is salt and butter. But it's just a joking point that like what your body is actually looking for is like rare things, you know, like that's why people love like meat or like fatty foods like butter or salty things, because it's like these are essential for your body. Excuse me. And they're kind of rare in nature. Or like and sugar used to be quite rare, and now it's just like super common. We have like fucking like a kilo of sugar sitting on the table here distributed amongst cookies and candies. So like for me to have Christmas dinner be like a bunch of kind of okay-ish things, and it feels like it's one of those hangovers from like Charles Dickens times where they're like, sir, I brought you a giant turkey, and it's like, I don't know, like, do we really want to be eating turkey? And if that's what you love, if you love turkey and Brussels sprouts, good for you. Like eat the shit out of them. It's just that this is the time of year for you. I saw Aldi were selling like bags of Brussels sprouts for 19 cents. How crazy is that? Whole cabbages for 19 cents. Like a bag of potatoes for 19 cents. That's like absolute insanity. If only you could keep them year round and had like a cellar that you could just like buy a year's worth of vegetables for €30. But it's like a loss leading thing where they're off. There's no way they're losing money on every fucking potato sold. But yeah, it's Christmas just gets crazy. But if you can like make your Christmas dinner something that you really fucking enjoy, so it's like Christmas is like this wonderful day where you're sharing gifts, you're around people that you love, you're watching movies that you like, or playing board games that you enjoy, or whatever, and then you have a beautiful dinner hopefully like something that everyone really, really wants to eat, that you don't like eat all the time, and it's not like that doesn't take 5 hours to cook. Fuck me if you want to have lunch at 2 and you got to get up at like 6 in the morning to make lunch. That's a fucking nightmare. So I can see why that notion of being totally stressed about Christmas happens, but like I fucking love it now because I've tried my best to engineer it to be like all about the things I enjoy. Like be around people you love and fucking play games and do things that you want to do and like watch movies. So what's your routine? Because you're now in your own house. Are you guys are totally centered? Or do you have to travel?
No, we're not leaving the house Christmas Day.
Oh, that's great. See, that's what I think as well. Like when you have to go do laps and like.
Well, that was it last year. Like Christmas Day, the place with the biggest piece of my day in it was driving the car.
Oh my god!
I was driving the car longer than I was anywhere else combined.
That's crazy. Where were you? Like going from?
At home, went up to see my family, went down to her family in Ballyhob to have dinner, then came back up to the Arundels down the steps.
Oh my god! Yeah, I was thinking.
And then decided, right, we were planning on going to Tipperary Stevens' Day.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the
same day. No, well, we decided. Well, it would be grand if he slept while we went to Tip, wouldn't it? So we drove up to Tip Christmas night.
Holy shit. Okay. So at what, like 5 o'clock in the evening?
Yeah. No, later. I think we left at like 8:30, 9 o'clock.
It's like a 5-hour drive, isn't it?
Yeah.
So...
No, 4.
4, okay, but how quiet... This is such a random question, but how quiet were the roads? I don't know if you're...
Pretty quiet.
But pretty quiet. You can only imagine how many people are like, all right, time to get in the car. And like, I'm sure there's like local people, like you said, doing... Because that's in my head, I'm like, oh man, you had to go from Goleen to Ballyhob to Skull and then do a couple laps of Skull. And then you're like... And then I went to Tip. Holy shit. I didn't realize, like, that's crazy. I was like...
Yeah, so basically I said, fuck that this year. I'm not leaving the house. I'm cracking the beer with fucking breakfast.
Beautiful. Absolutely. See, that's what I'm like, is that fuck getting...
But yeah, we're not having turkey either.
What do you...
I haven't had turkey in like 5 years.
There you go. You're bucking the trend. Beautiful.
I had chicken last year and I had steak the 3 years before that.
Holy shit. Alright, there you go. I never heard of someone having a steak. Did everyone have steaks around?
No, it was just me because I was like, fuck, I don't want... I'm probably worse with turkey than you. I'm not, but I wouldn't ever order turkey any day of the year.
Show me a person who likes turkey and I will show you a liar. Like, I've never met someone who's like, it's funny because like I bring this up in my house and my dad's like, I like turkey. I'm like, you like everything. It's not like, I'm not saying that like turkey is like not worth eating. I'm just saying it's like, why? You think about how many meals of the year that are significant meals. How many significant meals are there really? Like, I can only think of one right now. Christmas dinner. And what we have is turkey. I'm like, I don't know. If that's what you're into, fine. But I think it's trash. So...
Wait, and also, what do they have at Thanksgiving in America?
Turkey.
Yeah.
So they're having turkey twice. Yeah. So a lot of people in America might have ham. They might have like a big ham, like there's like a leg of ham, as you've seen the traditional ones in the cartoons with the bone in it.
Yeah.
So that might be had, or
we always had ham with Christmas.
Turkey in your house when you were growing up? Oh, you never had turkey, or you
turkey and ham?
Okay. See, I prefer ham to turkey again. Like
yeah, definitely.
But again, I'm not like thinking like, oh man, I got some friends coming over and I want to have a really delicious meal. Oh, I'm going to make them a ham. I'm going to make them turkey. Like, first of all, huge pain in the ass. Second of all, really expensive. Fourth of all, not really that good. So I just think it's so not worth the bang for buck. Sorry, did you say what you're having? And I just totally blanked.
This year chicken, yeah.
This year, okay, chicken. All right, nice. But just like regular chicken?
Yeah.
Just like a chicken, like a roast chicken?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna one-up you. Because we were driving to the shop to do the big Christmas shop, and I was like,
Actually, I think it's an organic chicken.
Oh shit! All right, I can't fuck with an organic chicken. Nothing that I'm making is organic, so okay, you win. But I'll tell my story anyway. We were going to buy the big Christmas shop, and my brother is vegetarian, and my dad is like, without being an asshole, anti-vegetarian. Yeah, basically, he would be in the back if someone like if a politician was like, "Hi, I'm Chad Mendes. I'm running for the Republican Party. I'm a vegetarian." He would be like, he wouldn't be like booing out loud, but he would definitely be like, "Fuck this guy. He's not getting my vote. Gotta eat a steak," because he would serve vegetarian meals. Like, he literally, his ethos is like, I'll just make the same meal. You could just have more vegetables and more potatoes. Like, that's his idea of what a vegetarian meal is. Like a meal that you would make with meat but without the meat. I'm like, that is not how it works at all. So my mom is so good about this. She totally gets it. She like bought it she like researched all these recipes and has been like cooking all these different vegetarian things, because my sister-in-law is also a vegetarian. So it's like, it's a useful skill in the family. But so we've like totally fractured as a family. Unfortunately, this is like the dangers of freedom. When you get too much freedom and everything gets a little bit fucking crazy, because we kind of basically asked around, like, what does everyone want? What would be your ideal Christmas dinner? And my dad is just like, I want corned beef. We got corned beef. Because, like, there's nothing wrong with corned beef. It's just not in my head. Like, I was shocked. I wasn't like, no. I was just like, really? I'm like, that's like, you just like, you think, all the things I could eat. I'm like, you're on death row and it's your last meal. You're like, bring me some corned beef. I'm like, and mustard. I'm like, all right, well, anyway, that's fine. So he's having corned beef. And then my mom is making my brother like a phyllo pastry, feta, tart with like whatever, Brussels sprouts, not Brussels sprouts, like squash or whatever, red peppers, I think. So I'm like, those are good enough. Like, those are not like what I'm looking for. Those are all fine things to eat just as a food, like that you just show up and this is what dinner is. I'm like, I would never complain. But for my one meal of the year that I'm planning, I'm like, nah, I want something better. So I'm thinking, because we're on the way. I'm like, I got to come up with something better. So I went for chicken breasts, stuffed with goat's cheese, wrapped in bacon. I was like, all right, I don't think I can get much better than that. And then we're going to have a bunch of other stuff on the sides. But what do you guys do for sides? Do you have still like Brussels? You're going to have a shitload of Brussels sprouts because you're.
Oh yeah, but I like Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, there you go.
We all like Brussels sprouts.
Do you go to the is there space for cranberry still? Because I feel like it's a turkey accompanier. It's not like something that you would just have normally.
Don't think we ever had cranberry.
You never had cranberry with turkey?
Don't think so.
Oh, okay. I see. That was
gravy.
At least one thing.
Try and moisten it up a bit.
Yeah, for real.
Douse it with gravy is the only way I used to do.
That's what I mean. I would enjoy I remember cranberry being a highlight in terms of, I'm like, at least there's something like sweet and moist in this meal. But and it's funny because I'm actually more excited for Christmas Eve food. The way we have Christmas Eve, I tend to enjoy that meal better because we just do like all sorts of like little finger foods, like breaded halloumi and breaded brie and like crackers and olives and like little Spanish meats and like all sorts of shit. And then it's like, that's like the ultimate human feeding style, because it's a like little tidbits of all the best shit, and your brain, you never get bored, because like apparently like one of the things that I learned about like eating competitions is that they have like, if they're like, say their challenge is to eat like chips, like if they're having a hard time getting through the next batch of chips, they'll order like a bowl of ice cream and they'll eat the ice cream. And then the fact that ice cream is so opposite to chips, it's like salty, crispy, hot, and then ice cream cold, sweet, cold, sweet, and soft. And wet. So
not crispy.
You're not crispy. The opposite of crispy. I was like, yeah, but it's like uncrispy. This ice cream is terrifically uncrispy. So I actually worked in a restaurant where they served deep fried ice cream, which was crazy. And I can't believe I never tried it. I worked there for a long time and I never tried it. I'm ashamed of that. Yeah, so in the eating competitions, if they're having a hard time, like struggling, they'll have something that's basically the total opposite because it like reinvigorates your palate. It's probably like why most people at the cinema tend to have something like, oh, I'll have some popcorn and then I'll have some chocolate or some sweet thing. And then I can kind of like bounce between the two. You're like, my mouth is bored of popcorn now. I'm like, okay, got some M&Ms. I'm like,
chili nuts.
What?
Do you remember the chili nuts?
I never fucked with chili nuts.
They were the fucking bee's knees.
I like nuts. I like chili. I'm not into the shit that's like between the chili and the nuts. Because really it's like, they're like breaded nuts, aren't they? They have like a whole fucking layer around them, which I was like, I just never really fucked with that layer. If they were just selling nuts that were chili, then I would be down with that. But then again, I'm like, that's just like Christmas. It's like, to me, going to the cinema has always been like kind of a special event, and it's like to just eat peanuts. I got peanuts at home. I eat them, but like to have some of the like cinema popcorn is so much better than any other popcorn. There's no popcorn you can make that's even close to like fresh hot cinema popcorn. But I always go with some peanut M&Ms. Always. Which is funny because I'm getting the peanuts. But I'm like, it's got chocolate and color. I don't know if the color tastes like anything. I don't think it does, but they're different colors, and the color is enough to like excite my brain, so my dopamine responses are triggered. So Christmas Eve dinner is almost more exciting than Christmas dinner because it's so like it's so many things, and you just get to go around circulate and graze. But yeah, ultimately, I think Christmas is like, it's such a great thing if you make the most of it. Much like anything, in life, if you make the most of something, it's as good as it could be by definition. So it's like, I can't believe for such a long time I was such a humbug. I mean, I get it because I do see the problems with Christmas, but to me, it's like, that's not, it's like I always make the example with like guns or like, I'm like, look, if like hammers are a great tool, but if someone like uses a hammer to beat someone to death, like that's not a problem with hammers. That's not a problem with this dude who fucking hits people with hammers. So I'm like, Christmas, I'm like, maybe you're doing it wrong. Because ultimately, I guess it all started as some sort of like pagan festival, and then eventually like Christianity adopted it. Because I don't think Jesus was actually born on Christmas Day. Ooh, controversial. I don't care. But
against popular belief.
Yeah, I think that's what they kind of. I don't really know how they even know when Jesus was born or whatever. But
I think it just kind of coincides with winter solstice. That was already a celebrated thing.
They did a lot of that. There's a lot of like Christianity that adopted pagan beliefs and rituals. And like a lot of the saints started out as pagan gods, and then they were like, "All right, listen, we got one just like that." Like Saint Bridget, nah, she's cool. She's just like the other one. She did all the same stuff, I swear. So I think that like if you can make the most of Christmas and like it's here to stay now, even though like I would say most people who celebrate Christmas do not really partake in the religious aspect. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I would say of all the people in the world that like do the Christmas thing, they get a tree and they get a presents. Maybe not, they don't do all those things, but like I would say most of them do not associate that with religion. I don't know if that's an unfair statement, but to me it's like super not religious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, which is kind of a funny thing because like when you think about something like confirmation, it's not like people like have decided, like we don't do the God stuff, but like we just all like meet up and give our kids a bunch of money and like get dressed up and stuff. Like it's some things get adopted because they're like, this is a fun one. We're gonna keep Christmas, but we don't need like church on Sundays or the book. So I don't know, pick and choose. But I certainly enjoy Christmas when you make the most of it. But I definitely don't envy Dave, and I don't think Max is doing 12 pubs, but 12 pubs, that's like 11 and a half pubs too many for me. So, yeah. Anyway, we call it a day there.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, cool. All right, there we go.